Coming up on today's episode of the Stock Market Playbook, we have Sandeep Ravilu coming to us from India. He's got some great takes on Indian equities that I certainly don't look at enough. So it was a very interesting conversation for me. He also has some pretty specific predictions of what he thinks will happen in the precious metals market for 2026. You might be surprised by some of these. I sure was. Give it a look and enjoy the next episode of the Stock Market Playbook. Welcome back to another episode of the Stock Market Playbook. I am your host, Jared Johnson. Today we've got Sandeep Ravilu joining us from India, which first of all, we got to say the internet's a great place. It's like we're sitting next to each other, but you're probably 8,000 miles away. I think India, from where I am, is the furthest point. That's completely on the opposite side of the planet. So we're happy to have you with us today. I think we have a lot of really interesting things to talk about as far as Indian markets and economies and everything. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jared, for having me on the show. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm from Bangalore, India.
Bangalore, India. Now, just give me a little geography reminder. Is that like central or is that southern? Where is that in India?
Yeah, it's basically in the southern state called Karnataka. So Bangalore is the capital of Karnataka. So it's also known as the IT capital of India. You see a lot of IT startups and a lot of headquarters of a lot of IT companies. And we have a host of companies like Apple, Google. Every company has a campus here.
Excellent. That's super cool. Now, tell me. So what is your background? What got you involved in all the stock markets, investing, everything? Where do you come from in that space?
So I'm an engineer by graduation. So I did my computer science engineering and I'm a tech guy. So I work for the top five companies of the world. So I started investing from around 2008 is when I started. So it was more of on and off kind of a thing. So once the market crashes, I used to, take a back seat for a year or two and then come back again and started learning with a lot of mistakes. So actual serious investing started from 2013, where I started doing SIPs in various blue chip companies. And gradually, I also had a consultant, right? So when I started having a consultant, that is when I started learning about stocks, the companies, how they work, how the earnings work. And slowly I started to invest on myself. So this has been a great learning from I used to invest in blue chip companies, then coming back to smaller companies where I started meeting managements and talking to them and getting in to know about smaller companies. And that is when the whole investing style changed, and I got a lot of conviction in investing in smaller companies.
Interesting. So is that your focus now? Is you like the smaller companies, kind of the newly public small cap? Is
Yes,
that kind of your
yes.
style?
Yeah, basically, I try to meet smaller companies, and the management is also quite accessible. So, that suits my style because as a retail investor, it is more important to make more returns over a longer period of time, right? So, the blue chip companies usually I do SIP, but whatever companies I kind of find interesting, I try to buy a good amount of shares and just hold on to it. I basically seek good managements so that I can stay with them for a long time.
That's pretty interesting. So you like to find these small companies because first you can access their management, right? I mean, trying to get a meeting with the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, so to speak, is pretty difficult. But a company that maybe has one or two or 300 employees and they're just getting started, much easier. That's
Yes.
that's a that's interesting. So Now, what do you look for in these meetings? What qualifies as good management, as something that you think is worth investing in?
Basically, it goes with experience. Say if you meet 10 or 15 promoters, one of the things what clicks with me is the personality of the person. Say if he has no dark spots in his background, or is quite honest about his order books. Say I verify the order books, how the company is placed, and it's a two-edged sword. Say you meet 10 to 12 promoters, I feel in India at least 7 to 8 promoters may not be good. They may be lying most of the time, right? So so it is a tricky thing, but you learn a lot from experience, right? You burn your fingers, but then you keep meeting people, you will end up with a few promoters who will really take you a long way.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you want to meet these guys, find out, if you like them, if you feel like they're being honest, and before you meet or ask for a meeting with management, are you looking at, company financials and trying to get a feel for all of that?
Yes, see, especially in microcaps, say they wouldn't have long sets of data. Say they don't have a runway of say 10 years. So usually they have like 2 to 3 years. So within that, we need to find, for example, if I go to a small company which has say a advance contract from say a company like Apple, right? That is huge. So these are the things which will be noticed early, right? If you meet the management, say if he has an order from say HAL or some blue chip defense firm, so that's a big eye catchy point. So usually these companies, when they give the project, they do a thorough background check. Half the job is done for you already. So post that, what happens when we get to know about this? So it's like your first thesis is correct, right? These guys are honest, they're already being backed by a few good investors and few good companies. So post that, what we do, we follow up with them as to what are their future plans, what are they getting into, how is the promoter spending the money what he has got. So all these things we make notes and keep tracking it quarter by quarter.
Interesting, interesting. Do you have a sector that you like the most? Are you mostly focused in tech? Are you looking in any of the other, maybe material mining, production, or what's your favorite type of company?
Yeah. See, it basically changes with the trend. So last year we were very bullish on defense, basically with a lot of production going ahead for India. Especially they wanted to become self-dependent and they started producing their own missiles and started giving contracts to local companies. So there was a huge boost for Make in India. So that is when
Yeah.
we thought defense was going to be a very big theme for the next 5 to 6 years. So we started taking our microcap bets in that sector. This year, if you find a pinned tweet on my X profile, I have mentioned that renewable companies have a very, very good opportunity in the current markets. If you also notice US markets, the renewable companies are doing very well, but India is still lagging in that sector. I think renewable energy is the way forward. I think we'll find a lot of companies which will make a lot of money for the investors this year in that sector.
Interesting. That's great. That's great. So, what are a couple of your favorite companies right now? So that our investors, or our watchers, our listeners can maybe start to watch and follow, because in the U.S. it's a little bit. There are several India-based ETFs and various forms to invest in India, but I myself don't have much experience investing directly in Indian equities, and so I think it'd be interesting to hear a couple of names that you like, whether you own them or not. But what are a few companies that are getting your attention?
Okay, I'll take a step back and put it in this way. See, I don't want to name companies which are doing really good, right? I like the management of a couple of companies like Wari Energies. So Wari Energies are into renewable sector and they have vast experience and I've got great promoters, right? So this is one company which I'm tracking for a very long time and I've tweeted also many times. So there's another company called Oriana. Oriana Power is also into renewable energy and also into BESS. BESS is the battery storage, right? So these two companies, the management is, I mean, pretty honest and they've delivered, right, for the past 3 to 4 years. So these two companies, I really love the management. I think they'll go a long way.
Excellent, excellent. What are and maybe I need to do a little more research myself. What are some of the biggest companies that have kind of recently, the unicorns, right? What are some big startups that have gone really massive, that you've liked and watched over the last maybe 3 to 5 years?
See, tech unicorns definitely have met a lot of founders in Bangalore and know a lot of companies. The tech unicorns are definitely not going to list so soon in India. They're going to basically have a listed firm in US. For example, if you have heard of Observe.ai or Sanas.ai, they're all from US, but they have their backend center in Bangalore, right?
Excellent.
So
Yeah.
people run the companies from here and they have their sales and other things in US.
Gotcha.
So what
Gotcha.
happens is, yeah, all the tech unicorns, what I feel is, have the backend office in Bangalore. But if you are going to look at other tech billionaires like Zomato, Ola, they're all doing. I mean, I don't look at such companies which are already listed at a very high valuation. So there is very little room for the investors to make money there.
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. So, outside of the equity space, you said you're interested a bit in the real estate side of things and some of the precious metals. We've obviously seen a massive run in both real estate prices. I'm sure it's the same in India as around the world. Real estate prices have gone straight up for the past 5 years, give or take. Uh, Gold, silver, cryptos. I mean, do you play in that space much?
Definitely not crypto. I've had a bad experience with crypto, so I, I mean, see, there was a tech startup from Bangalore called Wald. So Wald was backed by Thiel of PayPal fame, right? So I thought we'll invest there and we'll buy some Bitcoin. So, but the entire company shut down. So all my investment was blocked there. So I don't do
Uh,
crypto basically. With the metals. So every year I try to post one or two metals where I'm bullish on. If you, I mean, everything is on my Twitter. So 2024, I was bullish on gold. So 25, it was silver. So this year as well, I feel gold and copper should do well. So
oh,
yeah, I have my reasons for that because see, 2024, I felt the Indian markets were extremely overpriced and the volatility is going to be huge. So when there is volatility, I feel always the gold will do well because that's the hedge people take. And coming back to silver, silver was extremely undervalued if you look at 2024, 25, right? It
yeah.
was yeah, it was around $30 to $35. So it was a metal which was required in most electric vehicles and semiconductor industries. So that was a time where people were not looking at it. If you see now, everybody is telling buy silver, buy silver. I feel it's a risky bit now. I mean, if you want to go in, just go in with a strict stop loss so that you don't get trapped in it.
It is definitely wild. I'm just pulling up a chart of silver right now, and it's
Yes.
it's all the way up at all time highs, trading at $95. I mean, good grief! It's spent so long at 20 and 30, and then it really went wild the last part of or going into
Yes.
2025. So right now you're liking copper. You think that's a good one for
Yes.
26? Is that
Copper
what you said?
as well as gold.
Okay. You think
Gold,
you
I think,
think
is a
gold
safer
has?
bet compared to silver. Silver, I mean, 2025 was the year of silver. I mean, if you have bought it there, you can sit peacefully now because you're sitting on a big gain.
Yeah, yeah. Silver's had a heck of a run, and copper's a wild one. That's had quite the run. But Copper is interesting. I think as we go, as you mentioned, as we go more and more into electric based and battery based and electricity and electronic needs and all this stuff, it does make a lot of sense for things like copper to really have a big run, because copper's a volatile one. It runs and it drops and it drags everybody along for the ride, um, but that's interesting. So you think copper's going to have a good year? Are there any
Yes.
other kind of commodities in that space that you like along with copper?
No, I had also tweeted about platinum last year. I think that was one which I was tracking, but currently I feel even that is overheated. So it's better to take a cautious stand there. I mean, copper. I'll give you another reason why copper, because if you, I mean, this is the first time in India where I'm seeing copper bars being sold in jewelry shops. I mean, this has never happened before. So basically, 1 kg, 2 kg copper bars are being sold in jewelry shops. So I can post you a pic of that later. So I mean,
Interesting.
the demand what copper is gaining across local markets is huge. So I feel there is going to be a rise, real rise in that, and there may also be a import duty put on by the government shortly in the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
most governments across the world are basically putting taxes on any import of precious metals. This is because to safeguard their precious metals within them. I mean, China did this, US is doing it. Now India is probably will get a role in this. Let's see. So, so I think these two are the things to watch out this year.
Interesting. Interesting. I like it.
I mean, why
I
I'm backing gold? Yeah, why I'm backing gold again is I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. If you see the markets as well, it will go up, come down, especially Trump making rules every other day. So this is going to be volatile. So I feel gold is going to still every dip in gold is a buy according to me.
I think that's an interesting point. Gold does seem to be quite the hedge, and commodities are getting quite a bit of attention and movement.
Mm.
As there is more of a global unrest, right?
Yes.
And these
Yeah.
are these are safe places, and also it seems like um, I need to look at this, but I always follow central banks and holdings of individual countries in gold and so on. And India is always kind of in the top. I don't know, maybe two or three or four of holdings in gold, right? India is a big
Yes.
holder of gold.
Yes. I mean, every house in India will have gold. Every marriage will have gold. So basically, Indians hoard gold. So that has been their tradition. So India is an exception, but you can see also countries like Poland, China are also hoarding gold. That's a surprise.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. What do you think about some of these? I mean, are you following anything like uranium or any of these things for the nuclear electricity production and so on?
Yeah, I mean, in the global scale, these things are picking. In the global scale, these things are picking up. But if you look at India, I don't think all this is going to be starting anytime soon. So basically, I gather the public demand here as to what are the things which are being sold more. I have access to local markets. So we get an idea. For example, last year, silver was running at a premium here in the Indian local markets. I mean, there was no reason for the premium, but there was a sudden demand, right? So these things are some things which I keep tab of regularly. So I think in India, as of now, there's nothing related to uranium.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of an interesting take, because sometimes I will look, and I'm just pulling up some charts here just to kind of have some of this. Sometimes, so you will look at, for example, you're saying in India, people are buying copper bricks or copper blocks, right? In jewelry stores, which is wild. I mean, I certainly haven't seen that here. So that certainly speaks to demand. It speaks to familiarity of maybe the more average person watching something like copper,
Yes.
whereas it probably doesn't get a lot of attention in other times in the past. But Does that also, when you see those kinds of things happening where everybody's trying to buy silver or everybody's trying to buy copper, does that ever concern you that it's become too mainstream and that all the demand is priced in already?
See, it may have happened, but what I feel is, see, anytime when there is no returns in equity, right, people will fall back on these metals. So, uh, see, if I'm not that much tracking US markets, but Indian markets has given nil returns for the last 2 years. If you consider from 2025 till 2026 up to date, the returns are nil. And the small caps and the micro caps have given negative returns, right? So these are the times where people are very, very pessimistic and they fall back on special metals. So they feel that is more safer. It's a psychological thing as well.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. And I've been in the stock market and investing for 25 years, and the problem with my brain is and this could be very different in India, but for example, in US markets, it's very common when everybody gets really excited about something, there's a lot of upside, but it's usually indicating something is topping out. And likewise, when everybody gets very discouraged about something, those are oftentimes the bottoms, right, where there's actually good
Mhm.
opportunity to buy.
Yes.
And so the contrarian in me always thinks, okay, if everybody wants to, for example, if everybody is as you say discouraged about some of the returns that they've had in equities in India in the last 1 or 2 or 3 years, does that is there anything kind of in the back of your mind that says there might be some very good contrarian buying opportunities in the equity space if everybody is hating it?
Absolutely. I track mutual funds which open subscriptions for new funds, right? So there has been a lot of openings for small cap funds in the last 1 month, right? Once these liquidity starts flowing in, I think we are going to see a run again. So I'm just waiting for time. I feel the volatility is going to stay now until we have the clear clarity on tariffs and other things which are happening around the world. So probably I feel another 6 months time there will be sideways market. So probably once things settle down, right? I have the list ready where there are a lot of stocks which are extremely undervalued now, and they are like available. Some are available at their IPO prices, good companies. So there will be a time where I will go in full on equities. So that time will come definitely this year.
Yeah. So right now you're pretty focused in kind of the gold, copper space, letting things calm down and settle a little bit, and then looking at some of those equity buys at some
Yes,
great
see,
prices.
gold and copper is my hedge against the equities, because equities aren't doing great now, but these things are keeping it balanced. So
Yeah.
there will be a time when I move everything to equities. I think it is going to be very short, very shortly.
Interesting. Now, what about on the currency side of things? Is there any plays in your mind with the Indian rupee versus the U.S. dollar, the euro? Any currency plays to be had there?
No, I don't think that's my cup of tea. So I look at it as, I mean, the Indian rupee is getting weaker, definitely, right? The FIIs are moving out. That is one of the reasons, because they aren't making money here. We have had the highest number of FIIs move out of India in the last 1.5 years. I think they will come back if there is a structural tax change in the current budget, which is coming up. So
Hmm.
most investors in India are waiting for that. If there is a reduction in the long-term tax for the foreign investors, they will definitely come back. I think this is the market cycle where they have gone out. Probably they will come back once there is some good opportunities here.
Yeah, interesting. I the currency play, in some of my earlier days of investing and so on, I used to run a currency fund, and
Wow.
it was. it's a wild ride, and certainly the global currency game is a wild one, but it always did seem in the end that these, with obviously a few exceptions like the Russian ruble, right? Because that's a tough one, and how they manage things. But some of the large stable economies, India and China and Europe and Japan and so on, there there always did seem like, and certainly in the U.S. right now, right? The U.S. dollar is very weak. Um,
Yes.
and it does, again, maybe it's the contrarian side of the investor in me, but when I see very, very weak, I'm watching the Japanese yen as well, and I'm thinking, as we get to these extreme, 5 and 10 and sometimes 20 and sometimes all-time highs and lows, right? But sometimes they're 10 and 20-year highs and lows. Oftentimes, with a little bit of patience, it seems like there is a big play to be had there, and so I do like to watch that, and so that's why I
Mm.
was wondering if it was on your radar for the rupee.
See, it is one of the reasons what I feel for the FI exit. Uh, I feel there will be a time where it may get stronger. So it's definitely related to reforms. How
Hmm.
the politicians reform it. So it depends on that as well. So let's see. I mean, I don't want to get in deep with this because even I'm not aware of many things in this.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. That is the tough thing with the currency. Those big long term currency plays, because then you're really dealing with governments and international policy, and it's kind of messy for sure. But interesting. That's great. These are all really interesting points. I love your take on how you look at some of these companies and some of the precious metals you're watching. And you said crypto's out, your equities, real estate, and precious metals. It sounds like.
Yeah, for this year, let's see going forward how it moves.
That's true. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. So tell me and tell our listeners where they can follow some of your ideas. We'll post your X profile and so on below. But where can people find out more about what you're doing and watching and trading and so on?
See, most of the things I post it on Twitter, X. That's it. So there's no other public profile where I post. I just post here. So
Perfect.
yeah, I just post about whatever I trade or whatever I like, and what are the companies I like. I usually update my management meets as well. I mean, if I feel some management is good, I post about them. So everything is on
Great.
my X profile.
Excellent. Okay. We will have your X profile linked below, so everybody that wants to follow along with what you're looking at, they can do that on X, and that's great. Well, Sandeep, it was great to have you with us. We'd love to have you again in the future, and I'm going to keep an eye on copper, and we'll see if gold at its all time highs can keep going, can keep going.
Yes,
But
that's going to be
so,
steady. Let's hope. Thanks, Jared.
but
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
yes, absolutely. Thanks for being on, and we appreciate your time. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye bye.